Yo, what up, everybody? It's your brother Shakem, what's going on? Hey, so I was gonna jump on here with Elvin, but Elvin is doing something. So uh, I wanted to kind of start off with a series of questions. Um, as we know, the school districts and all of the counties all around have been talking about mass mandates. They've been contemplating this for a while. We've seen, all kind of things with COVID and the vaccines, and it's just been like a lot of political theater associated with it. Uh, right now, it's kind of really odd that we're seeing the things that we're seeing. So I wanted to reach out and ask you guys, what do you think? What do you think about the mask mandates, school? Because in all honesty, a lot of us are impacted by that. A lot of us have children in schools. A lot of parents are out here. You got a lot of concerned parents either way. And from looking at it from both sides of the spectrum, it's kind of interesting to hear others' arguments. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, in my mind, I feel like, okay, so let's say pre-COVID. Let's just look at the time where before you had the vaccine. Even though I was kind of like, I don't know about mandatory mask mandates. I wore masks. Y'all see me in pictures. I wore a mask. I think everybody should do what they need to do to protect themselves. And I don't think anybody should be made fun of because of the choice to wear a mask. Why? A lot of us had family members and things with COVID. So, we're very cautious about the way how we make mockery of something that we know is real. So you always got to take stuff serious. This is my thing. We do have options now, whether you like it or not. And if your child wants to wear a mask, hey, let them wear a mask. If they don't want to, that's up to them. If they want to get vaccinated, that's just my thought process on it. I don't feel like we should force anybody to do anything, because if you don't want to wear your mask, that's up to you. I wear mine. I do what I need to do. I wash my hands. I do things. And that's basically what a lot of people are saying. I don't understand the big deal, and I'm going to just say like this. A lot of parents out there, you had your kids out all summer running around, acting a fool, doing whatever, no mask, whatever. Kids are young, right? So in defense of people who do that, kids are young. Their immune systems are naturally able to fight better than others. Yes, people still do get it. Remember, this is not 100%. Nothing is 100%. This is life, so we have to be mindful of that. So we don't want to speak in absolutes to make it feel like, okay, one case represents the many, right? So you have children that most children have an immune system that's capable of fighting off viruses that older people like myself and others have gotten. So in defense of those who say, I don't want my kid to be masked up, they have a legitimate scientific argument that shows that children are less likely to have negative impact. If you're adult, then you have your vaccine, you're vaccinated, or whatever the case may be. So, like I said, I don't understand a lot. And then this is the thing, right? Let's talk about enforceability, because at the end of the day, I think that's kind of like what it all boils down to: enforceability. Like, even if we just said everybody has to have, let's mandate a federal mandate for masks. Well, the police aren't just going to start locking people up for having no mask on. If you got like four guys standing on the corner and the police is in a black community that's already probably, dangerous or something, do you honestly think that officer is going to get out his car and fine them for not having on a mask? No. And then even if they started doing that, the community is going to say, oh, well, now they're targeting young black people, with mask mandates and doing drug busts instead. So at this point, if you even start looking at the enforceability of, mask mandates, it's not going to happen. And two, if things start happening, they say, okay, well, officer pulled over, an individual because they didn't have a mask. Now he goes and finds 2 kilos of dope. So the whole time, what he was he was hunting him down. So now you pulled him with no mask and say, I smell marijuana. Now you're going to be complaining. Now the activists are all going to be screaming and yelling, and they're going to say, oh, the police are harassing people. But you have this mask mandate in place. So guys at the gas station, police might think, oh, this is a drug deal. Let's get him. He don't have on a mask. Boom. Officer, why'd you stop me? Oh, you didn't have on a mask. See, these are the things that, we don't even really think about, but in all honesty, it's very capable of happening. And, we just want to be so willy-nilly and, just kind of, live in a utopia and think, oh, well, the world would be perfect if everybody was mandated. But it's not going to work like that. It's unenforceable. So as much as we, right, boom, that's it. Using the mask mandate as a precursor to stop and frisk. That's all it'll turn into. Then people are getting mad. Everybody going to be mad then. Officer stops, guy, jumping out of it, walking out of his car, going into the gas station. Boom, dude, they have a mask on. Police stop him, say, boom, you smell like reefer. Boom, now I'm going to search your car. You know what I'm saying? And then it's going to start being really a problem then, because black people are going to say, oh, man, So this is the thing. You got to be logical about a lot of this stuff. But I'm just on here to rant. But I wanted to really kind of hear some different perspectives about the mandates and things like that. In all honesty, I think it all should be a choice. I think everybody should have a choice in what they want to do, whatever's decision. Because at the end of the day, you can still protect yourself. Like I said, prior to vaccine and all these other things, then yeah, I would say, you don't really have too much of a means to protect yourself other than a mask. But now, since you know that you have other means to protect yourself other than a mask, basically it should be a choice. Like I said, I wear a mask and that's my choice. You know what I'm saying? Like I try to do everything I can, and we don't knock people for doing what they can. So that's kind of like my thoughts on it. But you know what? Let me say something about this Joe Biden thing in Afghanistan really quick, because I got somebody asking me about that on Twitter. So let me say something about that. The United States should have been out of Afghanistan since they got bin Laden. Or Pakistan, wherever, Afghanistan. Once they got bin Laden, they should have left. We shouldn't even been in there longer than that. So Biden did do a pullout. Yes, it was a sloppy job. We should have been gone anyway. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't even been hanging around. But we were still hanging around, still interested in, taking over the country and being the overseers and the protectors and things like that. And I guess they got comfortable doing what they're doing, and they felt like the United States would be there forever. That's just the way how it is in the world. The United States is like the free police. So if you get a leader that is following the protocol of the United States and he's like their flunky, then more than likely he's going to have that protection. So I guess Biden, and they were saying he was acting on something Trump did, but at the end of the day, they wanted to get him out. So the U.S. was like, yo, man, we can't stay here any longer. Something's got to shake. Next thing you know, he bails out. Here's the thing. COVID is already running rampant again. My daughter's whole class. Yeah. You can't want the world to go back to normal and your freedoms. Same people crying about mandates are going to be the... All right, so this is the thing. There's ways to protect yourself. That's what I'm saying, right? So we already know that it's going to spread regardless. It's going to spread. Most of us already probably had it. It will spread. But I'm saying we have more options, and a lot of times, people don't choose either option. But at the end of the day, protect yourself. You can't mandate everybody to do it. You can't. It's not feasible. The feasibility is not going to happen, right? I think 10,000 of our people left behind is a reason to go back. Oh, yeah, Tone is talking about Afghanistan. So let me say this. If there's some people left behind, we need to go back and get them, right? Because, as a country, if you have an operation somewhere foreign, and the government is collapsing, yes, you have a responsibility to go back and try to get those people. I mean, it probably is a dangerous job. Taliban took over. So it's going to be hard, and asking people probably in the Army or Special Forces to do it might be a very tough task. So it's just the risk you got to take. I think it's enough to try to get something. I don't know the numbers. You said 10,000. That might be the case. I haven't looked at it, but I'm gonna say it like this: if there were 10,000 people that were left, then they need to go back and get them. Now, the only thing that I have with Biden, right? Because Biden is very weak. He doesn't have that leadership style to lead during times like this. He's getting older. He's not as sharp. He's not, in situations that people want to show strength, you need a younger leader. Anytime you have a image of somebody in power that makes those decisions, you really don't have old men 85, 86. They've already passed the torch, because they've lost a lot of that energy that they had when they were younger. So Biden is not a leader that's made for times like this, right? So by that being the case, he's going to have that weak pullout and, all of that other stuff, and he's not really going to say anything, and he doesn't have that lion in him. So that's I don't think he's fit for that. I really don't. But at the end of the day, I think it was time to get out of there. It was definitely time to get out of there, and I think that the pullout should have been done, but I think it should have been done better. And some sort of better exit strategy. Hey, I'm not a military strategist, so I really don't know, right? But just looking at it on face value, you need, what did Christie? You don't need an old or a young leader. You need a competent leader. Okay, but you got to look at it. Most younger people are competent. That's just the thing. As you get older, your memory begins to wane. You're not as fast. You're not as quick thinking. You're getting to the point to where, you're getting older. So your brain functioning happens to slow down. That's just a fact of life. We're all going to face it eventually, and he's gotten to the point to where his mind isn't as sharp. He's not clicking. He's not firing. So yes, not all the time younger means more competent, but there is a moment in time where a younger person will be more competent because the older person is going through the chronological process of their body degenerating as they get older. You can't get around it. Right, you can't get around it. So my whole thing is this. Yes, we do need a competent leader. He's not competent. And I think it's just kind of crazy that I haven't seen anything that he's done that's been so spectacular that I say, you know what, this is a good guy right here. I don't really see it. He doesn't communicate with the public effectively. We don't really know half of the time what he's doing. He doesn't really have a lot of press conferences. The president is supposed to be out here talking and articulating his plan. And as much as you didn't like Trump, and much as I was like, oh my goodness, what is he doing? He stayed talking about something. We all had, and there's a way that you can talk too much. I'm not saying that because it's opposite ends of the spectrum. So all I'm saying is that, he needs to be out there more, talking to the people, having press conferences, answering questions, just engagement. And we all expect that from a leader. Any leader we expect to have real good engagement because they have to relay a message to the people that voted for them. So if you're saying that this guy had 80 million people voting for him, then his engagement with America should be as though, hey, I have to get this message out to 80 million people, plus more, of course. But we all know that they're all tied into the people who vote for them. But he should at least be articulating the plan because, hey, I'm the most popular president in history. If you really got 80 million votes, he's not acting like it. He's not acting like it. So my whole thing is this. When it comes down to policy, we really don't understand where he stands at a policy standpoint, right? And we know that he's not, he has to go through the vote process and all of that. We understand how a bill is passed, right? But let me ask you this. Joe Biden, during the campaign season, there were certain things that he advocated for, right? So y'all kind of see where I'm going at, right? If you look at it now, the Democrats have backtracked on so many of their campaign promises. And collectively, right? See, there's always a group collective ideology, right? Even though some people don't believe in that particular ideology, they make up a majority of their voices are the loudest, and they're part of that party. So this is where I'm trying to get. Let's look at the defund the police movement. The defund the police movement, the activists in the street, everybody that was marching last year during the summer was talking about defunding the police. Then they started kind of changing it, refund the police and this and that. It didn't start out like that. It started out straight as defund the police, right? And then a lot of people started saying, well, you know what? The phraseology sounds really bad and it's not really telling the exact story that we want to tell. So people started saying, you know what? Let's articulate this a little better. But the original activist was like, nah. When they started it, the message was defund the police. They wasn't playing any rhetorical games with anybody. They was like, yo, defund them altogether. Let's take the money, break the police force. We don't need them. They're a terrorist organization, and the terrorist organization cannot lead and guide people in the community, right? Boom. That was their thing. Democrats came, they said, you know what? They just kind of stayed quiet. While the activists were in the street screaming defund the police, rioting and protesting, the Democrats who really didn't really like it, they didn't say anything. They weren't loud and unapologetic. They weren't ready to denounce it. Why? Because that phrase was a part of a movement that was helping them to get votes in the street. When you saw them saying defund the police at rallies, they were doing voter registration. So that's what they were doing. So a Democrat is not going to say, hey, I don't believe in defunding the police, because it wasn't a fad at the time. It wasn't cool at the time. What was cool was, this movement was what's going. So they rolled the wave. That's what they did. They rolled the wave. Then when Biden gets in office, what does he say? I really wasn't for defund the police anyway, right? Which, okay, he might have never said it, right? But silence is consent. So he's always been real silent about it. He didn't speak out against it, and he really didn't come out, fierce and say, you know what? We're totally against defunding the police. He never did that, him or Harris, because even if they didn't kind of disagree with it, at that time it wasn't popular. They didn't want to lose any votes. And what happened is they said, let's just be silent about it. We don't want to say anything. Let's just let it ride. And let's do our voter registrations after each one of these defund the police rallies. So what they did is they attached themselves to the movement. So now when you see people saying defund the police, they also have a Biden-Harris flag. They have Biden-Harris bumper stickers. They have Biden-Harris on their bullhorn. They have Biden-Harris paraphernalia, shirts and hats. And these are the people, when you see them in the street, they're screaming defund the police simultaneously in chants. They didn't. So even if they wanted to distance themselves from that, they weren't genuine, because the whole time they knew they didn't want it, but they wanted to ride the wave. Bait and switch. Now, election is over with, Biden's in office. I never wanted to defund the police. Now I was screaming, hey, I never wanted to defund the police. What did Christie say? Defund the police always meant switching the money to other places. The Republicans, let me tell you like this, that's not true. That's not true. When you really start looking at the defund the police movement, the activists in the street, their main concern was not basically reallocation of funding and stuff like that. No, activists in the streets really wanted to defund the police. They was like, yo, fuck the police. Y'all are like terrorists. Like, we don't need y'all. We'll get somebody else. Defund. They really wanted to defund the police and basically legalize drugs. They were far liberal. That came from a far liberal ideology. See, what you're saying, Christy, is when you're saying it always meant switching see, that's where the moderate Republican, the moderate Democrat came in and started moving it. They wanted to move it. But if you go back when it really started, when they really started talking about defund the police, right? When you start going back to, you want to say Michael Brown, right? When you started really talking about these cases, when people said defund the police, they weren't talking about putting money and all these other places for social workers and all that. No, they wanted to abolish it. That's it. They wanted to abolish the police. That's what when they said defund them, they actually meant abolish the police. Go look, right? Go look. And they're still unapologetic about it to this day. No, yes. See, that's the thing. That's the thing, right? Y'all are saying they never really wanted to defund the police. Right. Ain't nobody with a brain, right? The hood would suffer. The hood would suffer. But the thing is, the activists were pushing for the total abolishment of the police. I know a lot of them. It's okay. I've been in the ground and the grit. So when they say it, I ain't mad at them. That's just what they on. You know what I'm saying? That's what they on. It is what it is. That's their demo. They make their points. I listen. I'm like, I rebuttal. I counter. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's them. You know, I ain't losing no sleep. They not losing no sleep. I'm cool. You know, we cool with a lot. I don't lose no sleep. So the thing is, right? It was a bait and switch tactic by the Democratic Party. Total bait and switch. And that's why right now, when I listen to him, Joe Biden, whatever happened to the lift every voice plan? Joe Biden said he had an economic plan that he wanted to use to help black people to rise above the system of oppression. Joe Biden said he had a plan that if black people voted for him, this will immediately lift black people out of poverty and put us in a place of a land of milk and honey. He called that the lift every voice plan. By that, he wanted to lift every voice like the old Negro spiritual and show that Joe Biden, the head of the government, if you vote for me, I'll make you rich, black man. I'll make you rich, black woman. That's what Joe Biden promised with the lift every voice plan. What happened? He's back in office. What happened to the lift every voice plan? Where is it? Nobody's talking about it, right? But that was one of the most central parts of Biden's campaign was economic growth and development in the black community. Now, this is the thing. Let's talk about what Tim Scott introduced, opportunity zones. Now, this is the thing. If y'all don't like opportunity zones, right? Because there is positives and negatives with anything. There's a lot of people that benefited, black people that benefit off opportunity zones. You don't know them because whenever they tell you, you don't want to hear it, and you just drown out their voice. A lot of black people are benefiting from opportunity zones. I know several of them. Then I read articles. When you read and research, you'll see many black people are benefiting off opportunity zones. Some people aren't. Some people taking a hit. And if you, hey, look it up, try it for yourself, see what happens. Write up a plan, go try to get some funding. Hey, it is what it is. Try it. But let me tell you this. If Democrats don't like the opportunity zone legislation that Tim Scott and several others, but Tim Scott was one of the leading ones, put it together and said, listen, this is going to help inner cities, black communities. If you take advantage of this, then we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Now, they got opportunity zones passed. Why can't Biden go and even have discussions about the Lift Every Voice plan? Tim Scott and Donald Trump did opportunity zone legislation. Whether you like it or not, I'm not talking about that. It was something that they felt would target the black community and allow black investors and entrepreneurs to get in and make some money, which you can if you understand. If you don't knock it and say, let's see what I can do, be serious about it, you can probably get some money. The thing is this. Biden has not in any way, shape, or form even mentioned the Lift Every Voice plan that he has, that he said he had for black America. Where's Jim Clyburn at? Jim Clyburn sat and was a champion For Joe Biden, he even called him an honorary black man. Where's the funding at, Jim Clyburn? Where's the funding? Where's it at? Y'all parade around with this man, put up that he's going to help with the Lift Every Voice plan that he has for Black America, and now Black America, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You can get mad at Republicans all day, but hell, Tim Scott got opportunities on legislation passed. Shit, whether you like it or not, he was bold enough to say, hey, listen, this will work for some black people if you put your mind to it. The Democrats ain't gave us nothing but made Juneteenth a federal holiday. That's it. Juneteenth, federal holiday. What else? Nothing economic. Nothing economic. Zero. Biden sat down and said, we're going to put together this Lift Every Voice plan. And guess what? He came in, he rode the defund the police wave. He jumped in and rode the Black Lives Matter wave. He's now in office, and guess what he's done? He's turned his back on the black community, and now he wants you to think that he's with the man has never been with you. Never. If you want those things, people need to vote during the midterm and every election. That is the truth. That's the truth. But there's things you can do in between the election. See, it's not the important part isn't actually from election to election. The important part is in between the election. See, that's whenever we're supposed to be applying the pressure. That's whenever we're supposed to do the writing. That's whenever we're supposed to do the screaming and yelling. Because now we're in a position where we're saying, let's see you work now. And the thing is, we know that, he can't just sign anything in law, but he can still have these conversations. Then once you have these conversations, it lets you know who's who and where who stands. See, that's the whole thing. But we're not even having a conversation. Somebody says, hey, Joe Biden, let's talk about the Lift Every Voice plan. Why are we doing that? See, even if somebody said, okay, looking at it from a numbers game, we don't have the votes to pass the Lift Every Voice plan. Okay, just say, because you always got to look at it strategically. So if somebody said, okay, Shakem, he doesn't have the votes to pass the Lift Every Voice and saying Republicans, this and that, filibuster, all of that, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so why don't you say, well, this is what you do, Biden. Let's go ahead and let's see where these people stand. Because if you don't mention nothing about it, you don't know where they stand. So let's say, okay, let's see where Joe Biden's, let's see all of these people, y'all are, they promised these black people all this stuff. Let's go ahead and see where they stand. Let's put the table in, let's put it in the committee, and let's just start talking about it. So now he can say, hey, I tried, but guess what? Senator such and such from here stopped it. Senator such and such from here. Now he can go down the line and name all the senators that was against it. In that case, he just cleared his name. He cleared his name. He said, you know what? Hey, I tried to lift that. I tried to give y'all the Lift Every Voice and Sing plan that I promised y'all when you were riding in the streets, cutting up, and I offered this to you. Hey, I tried to pass it, but it didn't make it. It didn't make it anywhere. It didn't make it into nowhere. We introduced it. Hey, this was the conversation. It died in committee. It died on the House floor. Wherever. You can say, hey, we was discussing it. It died. Hey, I tried. You still have to respect them for that. You still respect them for that. So, but this is the thing. They're too busy being weak and bamboozling people. It's crazy. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. Thank y'all for listening, man. Elvin was supposed to come on. I don't know where Elvin's space is. Elvin was supposed to come on. We were supposed to have a good conversation. We're going to talk, man. There's some other issues that we need to discuss. And I think the more and more these discussions, we have them, we'll get a lot of better results. We'll get traction. Hey, man, I don't know. Let's go. I appreciate y'all. This brother Shakem.